Okay, you're looking at the EGR valve. That's EGR valve with the red dot. That's a 10 millimeter bolt. That's an 8 millimeter bolt. What you might want to remove to get at this EGR valve, if you got a P401 code, emissions recirculation valve code. First thing you want to do is disconnect the battery. You want to take out the transmission control module. It has this plug. It's an 8 millimeter bolt, which the module looks like this, and it sits in there just like that. It's bolted. That plug, it sits in there this way. That plug goes right into there. You just unscrew it, and you have two bolts on the top, one here and one here. Those are also 8 millimeters. Those are the two bolts. So that takes this out so you get room in there. Disconnect the upper radiator hose. Disconnect the lower, just to one side, so you can reach your arm in there. And to get at these 8 millimeter bolts, I used this little short socket. It's extension with a 1/4 inch drive, and the other one I just used a 10 millimeter with just a little longer one, but you can use this one too, same size. When you take it out, you can clean it. You can also replace it. I just cleaned it because I replaced mine before. I just got a P401 code, which is EGR valve. The other thing to watch out for is these hoses. You got two hoses that connected, and you also have this ground. Make sure this ground is clean. And there's a little hose that goes from back in here, right there. Snakes around, and it hooks right there to this thing. I forget what you call this, but it's right there. See that right there. Snakes around, comes around. It's right here. Goes under the manifold, and you can't see it, but it's right below that pipe, and it hooks into the manifold below there. You got to make sure that hose is good. Sometimes they crack. I repaired mine before, but it's a pretty simple job. When you put the bolts back in, make sure you put them all in loose before, make sure they're all started and loose before you tighten them all the way down. I like to put this top one in first, then start the bottom one, just have them in real loose. Then I get these two done. Then I tighten these down, not all the way, just a little bit. Then I tighten these down. Then I tighten these down last. This way that hose lines up, which goes to your intake. So this will, sometimes they'll throw an emissions code and stuff like that. You can't pass inspection stuff. The EGR valves, a lot of times they're not broken, but if one thing that does, they have to be cleaned, but one thing that does break is the manifold, the vacuum, this thing. So when you have this off, you want to try to like suck and blow on this and hear that valve go in and open and close. Then the vacuum diaphragm is good, because if the vacuum diaphragm is good, you're not going to be able to just clean and fix it. That means it's got to be replaced. Okay, and but otherwise it's fairly simple.